Good morning, my brothers and sisters. Peace be with you all. Please take your seats. So we're almost reaching the conclusion to our booklets or to our current lessons. And these past few weeks, we have spent time individually studying each of the Beatitudes, what they mean, how we can use them in our lives. And I noticed when we have discussions on these lessons, we've come to the same conclusions, right? That they're new, we've never understood them in a certain way, or that they all connect, that we can't have one without the other. And that's good, that we have practiced reaching the bigger idea, that we have practiced understanding the overall theme. But I notice when we tend to do that, we forget the details. Like, for example, when talking with my mother, she would say, "Oh, do you remember all of the Beatitudes?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I remember the core words. First is poor, then it's mourn, then it's meek." And up to a certain degree, that is valid. It's our brain's way of retaining information. But when we reduce our lessons to just a word or just to one idea, we devalue the magnitude of what these Beatitudes really are. For example, for me, it was really hard to remember the full phrase. I just focused on poor. I just focused on mourning. And I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one. I know all of us probably don't remember the full phrase or recognize that there are promises in these Beatitudes. They're not just something to do. There's a reward for why we're doing them. And before we direct our attentions to the Beatitudes once more, I would like to take some time to put them on the sideline a little bit, to really home in on the word promise. Because I'm going to be honest with you this morning that when I first read this lesson, I saw promises of the Beatitudes, and I wasn't particularly moved. I thought, I already went over the Beatitudes. What more can I say? And it took a while for the gravity of my words to hit me. How can I dare to act like I know this already? How can I dare to act like there's not more to say? I didn't put value to what Jesus taught us. And as embarrassing it is to admit, it took me a long time for me to check myself and to say, there's so much more to learn from these words. We can't just leave them as, oh yeah, they tell us to put ourselves down and that's it. There's so much more. And if I had to really think on why I had a hard time connecting with this lesson, it's because the word promise has been really devalued to me. As humans, we're all fallible, and we don't hold the word promise to the standard it denotes. And I don't want you to just resume this to promise. Promise also means a vow, an oath, the honor of our words. And I can admit, maybe I'm just a very distrusting person, but when someone tells me, I give you my word, or I promise you, my brain's already like, no, I'm not going to trust that. Or especially even in stores, hey, I'll pay you back, I promise you. No, give me my money. Promise is not taken as seriously as it once did. And I think it's because we've gotten so used to leaving words as just words. We tell people what they want to hear, or we'll make them happy with us. Like, Mom, I promise I'll wash the dishes, but let me just go sleep first. Yeah, I say that to, as we say colloquially, to get her off my back, but do I mean it? Is she going to trust me? I'm taking down my credibility, and I'm not giving my words the power that they hold, because our words do hold power. For me, that is very true. Every time I hear someone say something to me, it sticks with me. And I know I'm not the only one. And I know we've gotten used to just saying things to hurt people, saying things to reach a point, saying things because we think it sounds right, but it's so much more to that. I know we're all smart enough to understand that there is more to what we say, and they reveal a lot about ourselves. According to this website, Science Direct, studies with children have found that English-speaking children in the study begin to talk about commitments, phrases like I will do it, and produce promises from ages 4 to 5 years old. Now, although this study highlights English-speaking children, I don't think it's beyond the realm of possibility that whatever language you speak, we also start to understand what promises are at that age. Now imagine, if we've been making promises from the age of 4, how many have you kept? How many have you broken? How many do you still honor? And most importantly, I want you to think about your promises to God. What have you told him in the most intimate of conversations? What have you told him when you were desperate? When you wanted to be healed? When you needed something from him? What do we say? Like, God, I promise if you give me this, I'll be better. God, I promise if you help me in this, I'll do whatever I can. Or even with something just silly, like, I promise if I get a boyfriend, I'll do better. Or if I get this car, I will try to study more, or I'll listen to my mom more. And I think it's easy for us to break it because we don't see the physical demonstration of his disappointment in us, how we hurt him. It's very out of sight, out of mind. I don't know I hurt God because I don't have to look at him. I don't have to see the disappointment on his face. But how about our brothers and his sisters, the ones that we can see? We make promises to everyone at varying degrees. To our spouse, I promise to honor you in life until death. To our siblings, to our coworkers, to whoever it may be, we all make promises. Now, like I said, I don't want you to think a promise just has to contain the word promise. A promise is just a commitment. A promise is you saying that you're going to honor something, and it's a vow, that regardless of the circumstances, you will follow it. We break them because we are conditional. We're selfish. It sounds harsh, but it's true. We're opportunistic people. Oh, this person, like how we say in the world, social networking, this person will give me a way to get what I want, whatever it may be, a career, relationship. And we're like, okay, I'll stay good with them. I know they'll give me what I want, so I'll get them what they want. But how the people that we love? Like, oh no, my mom, she knows me. She knows I'll get her back later. Or how about with God? Oh, God knows I tried. He knows, he saw what's in my heart. He knows I'm weak. And we always say, the spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. Oh yeah, in certain things, the flesh is weak, right? We justify ourselves. We're so good at justifying ourselves. Sometimes it takes listening to other people to say, you're so delusional. But what about with the things we say to ourselves? No, I will get better. No, it's just a one-time thing. No, it's just my emotions right now. I'm going through a rough patch, like a vortex of excuses just circling around our heads, like a loophole. Excuses and excuses and excuses. And we leave our words as words. And we just assume that the people we're going to see our hearts in the right place. But like Jeremiah 17:9 says, the heart is more deceitful than all else and is desperately sick. Who can understand it? There's a famous phrase in English, and it sounds a bit scary, but it says, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. And that's exactly what we can do. We think because we're trying, I know, I promise, I'm doing better. And we just sink ourselves down, 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 lower. We stay with the phrase, I should, I know I have to, I know I'm not doing it. Excuses after excuses, and they sound right. They sound like someone who's self-aware or like someone who knows what they have to do. But what about our actions? Actions will always speak louder than words, and we touched upon this yesterday in our lesson yesterday. Our actions will always speak louder. And it's more trustworthy to do something than promise something. So, of course, if we hold our promises to the standards of each other, we're never going to trust each other because we don't honor our words, whether it be something small or something really important, we're not going to honor it. And in conclusion, like me and like many of us, we read God's promises and we think, oh, that sounds nice. That'd be such a nice Instagram bio. I'm going to post that on my story later. And we're like, oh, okay. Whatever type of personality you have, we gloss over these promises like they're nothing. Like, okay, that's cool. He died for me. Yeah, that's nice. And I say that a lot because we do gloss over them. We're inundated with so many type of entertainment, with media, with news sources, that our brain just switches off, that we become desensitized, and that our emotions just get shut off for our sanity. But if we don't keep our promises, we can rest assured knowing that someone does. God does, because he is not like us. And like we said in this morning, we're very grateful that he's not like us. Like Numbers 23:19 says, God is not human that he should lie, not a human being that he should change his mind. Does he speak and then not act? Does he promise and not fulfill? Don't put him on the same level that you put you and I on. Because not only is that certainly blasphemous to think he is like us, but he will always be better than us. He will always love us with a love that is pure. He will always state, declare, and promise things with a full certainty that he will do them. And just going online, if you were to search up promises of God, there's an abundance of verses. And before I say the ones I was particularly moved by, I know my sister Sandy has a lot of promises that she likes. Would you like to share one, please? And that is beautiful. If we took the moment to look at that, who is going to defend us like that? If we get on the bad side of our friends, oh, we're not talking to her anymore. People we love, they can love us for a certain amount, but they're never going to have that unconditional love to say, I will stick with you through thick and thin. I will defend you against what is going to hurt you. That is such a heavy and beautiful promise. How about my sister Sandy? I know she has one too.
Yeah, 1 Corinthians 10:13 about the temptations and giving us a doorway out, or Luke 10:18 about having the authority to step over scorpions and that the evil will never touch us. That's promising and uplifting for me.
Thank you. Yes, those are also very beautiful. How about my sister Sari? What promises do you like?
Me gusta mucho cuando me dice que no importa los problemas que yo tenga, si se los entrego a él, él me va a responder y él me va a aliviar mi carga.
Thank you for sharing. Yeah. If I were to ask each and every one of us to share a promise, we still would not get through all of them. There's so many. And there's some that I really like. I'm not going to say a lot, but one can be found in Deuteronomy. And I'll just read the part where I think the promise is really held, where it says, the Lord your God who goes with you, he will not leave you or forsake you. Similar to what my sister Sari shared. And that is beautiful, to know that you will not be abandoned. Even when the people who claim to love you leave you. Even when people you cherish disappoint you. Even when they say they're going to be with you, that they love you, that they care for you. They're human, and sadly it's going to happen. But there's someone that you can confide in that won't leave you. A second one that I really love is found in Matthew 11. And it says, come to me, all who labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. And that is comforting because day in and day out, we go through so many things. For parents, if it's not our children giving us headaches, if it's not paying the rent, if it's not worrying about the food, and maybe for us young adults, still figuring ourselves out, still figuring out what we believe in, who we are without our friends, who we are with our friends, or worrying about relationships, worrying about career paths. We all face something. To some, it may not seem like such a huge responsibility, or to others, they drown in a cup of water. But to each person, we all carry something. And we all carry them differently. Some people isolate, some people break down, some people, whatever it may be, whatever you have, we can leave it to him. And especially today of all days, we come with whatever attitude we may, but when this service starts, when we start to sing, to give him worship, to pray to him, that is our time to really lay it all on him, to share every pain, share every doubt, share every gratitude, every moment of joy. This is our time to really lay it out in here on the open. And this is just one of the many promises that he gives us. And even speaking about Sabbath, like I previously mentioned in our lesson about Sabbath, when God told Moses to tell the Israelites, he said that Sabbath was a sign of a relationship between me and you for generations to come. So even if we're not theologically intelligent or studious, even just being here is a proof that he has kept his promise to us. Because from the time of Moses to the time of now, we have all kept our Saturdays. We've all had Saturdays to be here with him. We all have a chance to communicate with him, to pray, to honor him. And it's up to you if you take that for granted or not. It's up to you if you decide to sit here and zone out, or if you honor him like he deserves. With this crucial refresher, we must now look at the promises of the Beatitudes with a renewed vigor. Because if you were like me and you made the mistakes of reading through these promises, of reading through his word with a carelessness, with, oh, maybe that happened, but I'm not really sure yet, or I don't think it's going to happen to me. No, even if you can't trust my word, even if you can't trust your mom's word, your parents' word, because they'll fail you, you have to trust his word. You have to read these Beatitudes like they are a fact, like they're going to happen. Especially if we have spent weeks individually studying these Beatitudes. What is the point if we're just sitting here and letting someone talk and drone on, and everyone's in la la land, or we're just taking them like, oh, that's a nice story, but that's not real. It's time to actually listen and to hope that all the effort we've put in is because we're going to get rewarded with his promises. Now, our lesson highlights only 3 of the Beatitudes. And one that I chose some that I think are really important. And don't get me wrong, they're all very important. For the time's sake, we're only going to look at 3. And the first Beatitude we're going to look at is, blessed are the poor in spirit. Now, we're not going to forget the promise, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Now, the booklet says it perfectly well. The booklet says, entrance into the kingdom is reserved for those who recognize their spiritual need. And everything we learned at this moment has to come in fruition. Like our first lesson, being poor in spirit is recognizing that we're in desperate need of him. Is recognizing that if we rely on ourselves, we're going to be empty, we're going to be vain, we're going to be hollow, shells of people, like everyone in the world outside who attempts to fill in that void with different things. Living this beatitude means to know that we're always going to need him. Yeah, we're nothing. We're always going to need him, even if we have what we want, even if we think we have a good career, even if everything seems to be going right in our lives, we're always going to need him. It's only because we have his spirit that we are a living testimony of him. We're different than the world if we recognize that we need him and we want his spirit in us. So like that promise, we're going to look at 2 other more beatitudes. The second one we're going to look at is, blessed are the merciful, for they will be shown mercy. My sister Lydia, what do you glean from this promise, or what do you understand?
Just as God is merciful, we have to show that mercy to others, that they have to see God through us. If not, then what are we here for? We have to, and there's many, many ways to show them to the people outside, but also to the people right next to us, to our church, to our families. We really have, that has to be a part of us. We can't say, oh, we know God, we love him, we're baptized, if we don't know how to show mercy to others, because God is all mercy.
Exactly. If we want to even get a scope of his mercy, which every Saturday, every day we should be asking for his mercy, how can we sit there or pray, claim to want to be forgiven, if we don't show that same mercy to others? If we still hold on, if we still think about those grudges, whatever it may hit you, whenever it may hit you, and think, this person hurt me. I don't want to forgive that person. I'm angry at them. They don't deserve to be forgiven. We tell ourselves so many things, but then again, we think we carry those negative attitudes and we turn around and ask God, please forgive me. That doesn't make sense. If we want to be forgiven, we have to be willing to show that to others, regardless if you think they deserve it or not, because God forgives us even when we don't deserve it, especially when we don't deserve it. A verse that I think beautifully supplements this is Matthew 6:14 and 15. If you have your Bibles in Spanish, please just follow along with your vision. It says, for if you forgive other people when they sin against you, your heavenly Father will also forgive you. But if you do not forgive others their sins, your Father will not forgive your sins. And that is a vow. That verse is not saying, if you want to forgive your brothers, God will forgive you. No, it's saying if you do not forgive others, your Father will not forgive you. And I know we all like the promises that sound pretty, that make us feel good, but that is a promise that cannot be taken lightly. If you don't forgive, you will not be forgiven. And that is scary. Right now we feel good because we don't face the repercussions automatically. But when our time comes, when we have to make accounts with him, when he tells us everything we did, and at the end of it he says, I don't forgive you, or I don't know you. Can you imagine dedicating your entire life to the faith, but because you don't forgive, he will not forgive you? That's like a shot through the heart. Like, can't imagine that. So that is something to really think on. The third beatitude we are going to look at is, blessed are those who are persecuted because of righteousness, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Sister Esmeralda, can you share what you understand from this promise?
Yeah, those that are persecuted, like you said, we haven't seen the repercussions in today's age, at least not in this country where we still have that freedom of religion and freedom of speech. But we know that the time will come, and that's where we have to stand firm and know that God is above all, and that is where we should show our faith and seek his justice, seek his truth, and seek his will. It's just wanting to put him above all else, regardless of the consequences.
Exactly. If we can't be willing to have people not like us, people badmouth us, people tell us things, how can we ever claim to actually be his followers? Jesus went through the most terrible of treatments. They murdered him, they beat him, they did despicable things to him. But if we can't be willing to have people not like us, then how can we ever go to that kingdom? We can't have it both ways. It's easy to live that way, to think, I'll be good with everybody and be good with Jesus. But that is not possible. You can't be good with both the world and with God. A verse that I think supplements this as well is the first epistle of Peter, where it says in chapter 4, if you're insulted for the name of Christ, you are blessed, because the Spirit of glory and of God rests upon you. I'll repeat the last phrase, because the Spirit of glory and of God rests upon you. It's not saying, God will love you. It's saying that the actual Spirit will be with you. And that is a gift. That is something to be cherished, to be loved. So yes, you will be hurt, you will be insulted, and it's going to be uncomfortable. There's no denying. It's hurtful to hear things about you, to hear people call you crazy, call you delusional, call you an idiot, a bigot, or whatever. But the Spirit of God will be with you. And the Spirit does not leave you. The Spirit nurtures you, cherishes you, cares for you. So my brothers and sisters, every time you read phrases like this, the vows from the Lord that say, I will be with you, I will take care of you, or the Spirit of God will be with you, that is something to be taken, to be cherished, to be nurtured, to think about every day when you feel like you are stagnant, when you feel like, why am I here? Why am I at this church? Why do I have to sit here? It's because there is more in store for you. You are not just here to be the same person that you are yesterday, that you were the past 20 years. Every day is an opportunity to be new in Him again. And also, even if we know God's promises are resolute, that doesn't give us a free pass to think, well, I know I'm weak, so I'm not going to promise anything anymore. No, if anything, that's extra incentive to want to put honor in our words, to not take our words lightly. The next time you promise something, the next time you vow something, actually mean it. Don't give yourself the free pass. And yes, people will disappoint you, but that doesn't mean you have to give people the same treatment they gave you. You have to turn the other cheek. You have to be the one that shows that love that only Jesus puts in you. If people disrespect you, if they don't honor what they give you or what they promised you, it is time to us to really think about what we say. For a moment, before you even say something, pause. Do I mean it? Is this helpful? Will it help me? Will it help the person I'm talking to? And if not, don't even say it. If not, just really think about why I felt the need to say that, or why do I want to share that? I really want to emphasize that when we say something, we have to mean it, especially as followers of Him, because we are a living testimony. Unfortunately, when people look at us, they're either going to see the bad because they're really quick to point out the bad. So we have to put in that extra effort to show the light, to show the good. Now, if no one has any extra comments, oh yes.
I was trying to look up the verse in I believe Matthew where it talks a little bit about the profoundness of words, where it says we're going to be judged for every idle word we've spoken. I'm sure a lot of our sisters or brothers know it, but that's something to take into serious account, that not only are we going to be judged for every action we took, we're going to be judged for every word we've spoken. So every, ridiculous thing we've said, I can't imagine, God telling us, what's the ratio to seriousness to jokes that you've made? What's the ratio of saying words that are of a blessing, or saying words that were just of others? Or that's pretty scary. So yes, our words have a profound meaning to them, and it's always like the secular world believes in the less you speak, the more intelligent you are. And it's true in every case, especially in the spiritual world too. We're called to learn to observe, and when we do speak, it should be a blessing. It should be to help somebody else, and it's that in which we have to learn how to speak with salt, with seasoning, and with love. And a lot of us may use that to wound somebody and thinking that we're doing it for righteous reasons, but really it's just to show our carnality. And really it's I love the topic on speaking and words, because to me words have always had such a huge meaning. Everything we say, everything we do, but not only that, but the Bible backs it up too.
Exactly. We're very smart on using our words when they benefit us. We can be very calculating, we measure our words very carefully with certain people. And so I don't want to hear the excuse of, I don't know how to talk to the person, or they know I didn't mean it. No, we're all at that age, no matter how young you are, where you understand what you say and how you say it, the tone, the conversations we have. And especially if we say, peace be with you, mean it. I want actually peace to be with you. I'm not saying that because I feel like I have to, or we spent years saying that, so I continue to say it. Every word we say is almost like a contract. So if you've been used to living life with just saying things to say things, saying things because I know it's going to hurt you at the moment, or it's going to get me what I want, I want you to really deprogram yourself from that line of thinking. Oh, yes, of course.
I found the verse. It's in Matthew chapter 12, verse 36 and 37. But I say unto you that every idle word that men shall speak, they shall give account thereof in the day of judgment. 37. For by thy words thou shalt be justified, and by thy words thou shalt be condemned.
Wow. You shall be condemned. That's not saying, maybe you'll be condemned, you shall be condemned. That is a vow. So especially, once again, tying into the Beatitudes, when we read these, if we understand them in a new way now, I want you to keep reading it again and again and again. Because it happens sometimes. We read certain things and they don't hit us at the moment, but we read them in a time of need or just in a different occasion of studying, and it suddenly pierces your heart. It's like, wow. It touches you when you need to be touched. That's how the Spirit works. So when we read these Beatitudes, don't just think, oh yeah, I need to change. Yes, I need to work. But we're doing them. We're becoming disciples of Him because we're going to inherit the kingdom, because we're going to become like Him. Now, although this lesson may be short, I really do just want to emphasize promises matter, our words matter, and although we fail, we have to keep working to say our words with meaning, with understanding, and with honor, to live with the integrity that He teaches us to have, and to not read the Bible as pretty phrases or confusing or just old language, but to read them for what they are. Each word is a vow, is a promise that He gives us. And I want to leave you guys with a verse that is found in John 11, 25 to 26. It says, Jesus said to her, I am the resurrection and the life. The one who believes in me will live, even though they die. And whoever lives by believing in me will never die. Do you believe this? Jonathan, do you believe this? Fritzy, do you believe this? Each and every one of you in this room has to ask yourself this question. Do I believe this? Do we spend our morning here believing in this? Are we putting our hearts into this? Why are we here? If not for believing in everything that we are taught, if we are not believing in the greatness of who He is, if we are not believing that He will change us, if we are not believing that He will give us a new heart and a new spirit, please ask yourself these questions. Do you believe this? God bless each and every one of you, and I will leave you with my brother Joseph.